Today, we're going to talk about Jules Verne, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Go. Welcome to Matt Reviews Books, and I am Matt. And this is a book review channel dedicated mostly to older books. I do make exceptions, but mostly you're going to find these books in a used bookstore, in your grandma's attic, in a box somewhere. You know, older books. Books that may or may have not have been forgotten about. This one has definitely not been forgotten about. It is a classic. In fact, it is written by he's considered basically the father of science fiction, Jules Verne. And this one is A Journey to the Center of the Earth. What is it about? Well, that's why we have a synopsis. So here we are. Journey to the Center of the Earth. The narrator, first-person narrator, is a young man named Harry. More on that later. He lives with his uncle, Professor Hardwig, von Hardwig, in Germany. And they have a housekeeper and a doorman. And apparently Harry is in love with his cousin. They find a piece of paper. Harry and his uncle find a piece of paper. And it has this weird little code in it, and they spend a whole bunch of time trying to break the code. And it turns out they break the code, and it was written by the 16th century alchemist What the guy's name? Arne Saknussemm. I had to look that up in the book. And it turns out good old Arne has claimed that he has made it to the center of the earth, and that there is a doorway in a volcano. There's a passageway in a volcano in Iceland. Of course it's going to be Iceland. Why wouldn't it be Iceland to go to the center of the earth? So, his uncle decides to pack up Harry, and they take off for Iceland, where they meet up with Hans, who's an eider duck hunter. And Hans is going to be their guide. And they go tramping off across the wilds of Iceland, get to the volcano. And yes, it's an extinct volcano. Otherwise, it'd be a very short story, wouldn't it? Then they go into the volcano, and they go down, and they find a passage into the earth. Then we follow our heroes down into the earth. And as they go down, Jules Verne makes a point of describing the layers of the earth. And as they're going down, he's describing the different strata of rock and sediment and soil. And they're going, and they follow it down, and they get down. There's a huge inland sea, like an underground ocean. And there's like dinosaurs that live here, and like the plesiosaur and the ichthyosaur, and big turtles, forget what they're called, and apparently giant apes. They find a further passage down into the earth, but it's blocked, so they decide to take their black powder and blow it up, which is always good when you're underground. What happens, though, is that this big inland sea, this vast ocean, they blow a big hole in it, and it starts to drain the ocean, and they go down into this hole. They're on a raft, by the way. Sorry about that. They build a raft with these tree-like mushrooms, and they go underground, and they keep going further under the ocean, because they're being swept down into the current. And they get to the bottom, and that's where they see like a big shark crocodile. I'm not sure what he's describing there. Myosaur, maybe? I don't know. And a giant, what do you call it? Ape gigans. Gigantic ape. But they're flushed into a volcano. And they're shot out of the mountain. They're shot out of the volcano in Italy. And that's where they end up. They try to go to the center of the earth and, in fact, take a wrong turn, I guess. Have a misadventure, and they end up in Italy. It's a 170-year-old book. You can go read it. In fact, I actually recommend doing that. So yeah, with that, let's get on to... Apparently, when I was doing simple Google searches, just to get an idea of who Jules Verne was. Yes, I really didn't have any idea who Jules Verne was. I knew he wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, A Journey to the Center of the Earth, and he was considered a science fiction legend, but I didn't really understand who he was. Turns out, really smart guy, novelist, but he was French. And he wrote his novel, Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1864. Revised and republished in 1867. That's considered like the definitive Journey to the Center of the Earth. 1871, apparently, it was translated by an unknown translator into English and published, and in addition to the weird translation thing, in that translation, in the English translation, the publishing company put chapter headers and changed the names of the protagonists. For example, our protagonist, Harry, wasn't Harry. He was originally Axel. And Professor Hardwig, he was originally Leidenbrock. Liedenbrock. It's German. It's supposed to be German. And then good old the cousin that I just mentioned in passing that Harry's in love with. Harry's in love with Gretchen. In fact, her name was originally Grauben. Then also changed parts of the narrative, like the story, chunks, description, and like that. So that aside, the story's actually pretty good. I like the story. It was pretty interesting. A couple of weird things. First of all, Professor Leidenbrock / Hardwig he's kind of a jerk. He gets on the whole trying to decrypt the message from Arne Saknussemm. He's trying to solve that, and he swears not to eat until he solves it, and he tells his nephew that he's not going to eat either. Every time they're on the journey, when Harry tries to, or Axel, tries to ask him about how they're getting back, how the provisions, are you sure your math is right? Are you sure the science behind this is correct? He's totally dismissed by his uncle. The adventure, basically, at one point, Harry gets lost, and there's only 2 times where Hardwig, Leidenbrock, he seems to really give a damn about Harry, Axel, whatever his name is. However, the strength lies in the imagination of what lies at the center of the earth. Like there's still dinosaurs down there, and extinct species of plants, and it's like, think Jurassic Park, but underground. So, with that, I will bid you adieu, and I will tell you, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit the like button. You know where it is. 21st century, everybody knows where the like button is. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Hit that notification bell if you want to know when I upload, and so long.